It is Thursday, August the 8th, 2017, and we are sitting in number 1, the Tithe Barn. And we're talking to Di Smith, née Haynes, and her sister, Janet Amos, of course also née Haynes. Now, Di, as a result of reading the conversations on the East Clarendon website, you sent me a wonderful email giving us your memories of the village. So we are so pleased that you can now record those memories. And to begin, when did you live in the village? Can you give us dates?
Yes. I was born in 1946 in February.
46?
Yes.
46, yeah.
And I lived in the village until, I was about 16, maybe a little more, when we moved to West Clarendon.
Oh, I see. You went to West Clarendon.
Yes.
So where did you live there?
Cuckoo Farm.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. But where did you live in this village?
Well, I started off in Huggins Cottage. Then we moved to Holmerhurst, and then we moved to Daphne.
Wonderful. So 3 very famous houses in the village. So your parents lived in Huggins Cottage when you were born?
Yes, yes. Not for very long. It was just until we could move into Holmerhurst.
So did they live with your grandparents?
Yes, yeah.
Right. So tell me about your grandparents, Mr. Huggins.
I was almost brought up with my grandparents, as Jan will say. Jan was very much mum and dad's girl, and I was very much a granny and granddad's girl.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I spent an awful lot of time with my grandparents.
Yes. And what did they do?
Well, my grandfather was a wheelwright.
Yes.
And he had his workshop. He used to shoe horses.
Did they have a forge down there?
Oh, yeah, yes.
So there were 2 forges in the village at that time?
Yes, there was. Yes, there was our one, and then there was the one up here.
Yeah, yeah. So, and he had his own business?
Yes. We used to, it was cutting pea sticks and bean sticks, which were sold, and making the bees and brooms, like the witches, witches' brooms.
Oh, wonderful!
Yes. We used to go down to Norcott's Wood and chop out all the hazel, bring it back.
Where's Norcott's Wood?
Right opposite Daphne Cottage.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still there. There used to be a gate that went into a field.
Yeah.
You just follow the pathway straight down there, which took you into Norcott's Wood. It was only about 1 field away.
Right.
It was only about 1 field away from Back Lane.
So quite convenient.
Yes. And we used to chop all the pea sticks.
And you did
and
help?
Carry them home. Oh, yeah. And carry them home, pull them along.
Yeah.
And I used to help making the birch brooms, as they used to call them.
Did you?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, did your grandparents build Huggins Cottage, or was it there?
No, they had it built.
They built it?
Yes.
Your grandparents?
Yes.
Brilliant.
So it was one of the new... I was wondering why they'd managed to do so much work on the cottages, but of course it was because there's no preservation order on those.
No.
They were built too recently.
Yeah. And then so was Ivy Cottage built when you were
Yes,
little?
they were both built
They
at
were
the
already
same
built?
time.
Oh, were they?
Yeah. Yes, they were both built. One was built for my grandparents, and the other one, Ivy Cottage, was built for my granddad's brother and his wife.
And she was called Ivy?
No, she wasn't.
She wasn't?
No, she was Annie.
Oh,
And I can't imagine why it was ever called Ivy Cottage.
how interesting. Because I was told by somebody that she was called Ivy.
No, Annie.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's great. So it was your grandparents that built Huggins and Ivy.
Yes.
Wonderful. And so, how old were you, do you reckon, when you moved into Homehurst Cottage?
Oh, very young. Too young to remember moving.
Really?
Yeah, just a baby, really.
Really?
It was just a stopgap to live
I see.
with my grandparents.
So tell me about Homehurst Cottage, because Homehurst Cottage is now a beautiful big house.
Oh, yeah.
Was
Yes,
it always big?
No, it was 2 cottages.
2 cottages.
Yes. Number 1 and number 2. Number 2 was Mr. and Mrs. Shaw, if they're Peter's parents.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And number 1 was us.
I see. So at some stage it's been knocked into one.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I don't know that would be... Oh, how recent that would have been done, I don't know.
No. So can you describe Homehurst as it was when you lived there? Because now, of course, it's very beautiful, and I'm sure inside it's wonderfully modernised, tastefully modernised, I'm sure. But what was it like when you were there? Did you have an inside loo and that sort of thing?
No. That was down the bottom of the garden. I think we were a bit better off than some people because at least we did have a chemical loo.
Right.
But
Yes.
no, that was down the bottom of the garden. We had a lovely bat who used to live in the larder.
A bat?
Yes.
In the larder?
Yeah, a really big bat.
Really?
No one could ever find out exactly where he got in, but he got in.
And he didn't get out?
Oh, yes, he'd go away. He would go away at night, but then every morning he was back there hanging upside down in the top of the larder, and that's where he lived, and he lived there for years.
And you didn't get poisoned and you didn't die?
No.
So what did you keep in the larder with the bat? Was it with sort of milk and butter and...
Well, yeah. Everything covered out.
All the food?
Of course, yeah. But...
with the bat?
Yeah, yes. Well, it was his home before it was a larder, I think.
Yes, of course.
So...
Yes.
And you're not supposed to...
Yeah.
You're not supposed... bats are supposed to be protected.
Of course they are.
So...
Yes.
He was well protected.
Yeah. So, can you remember anything else about the house? How many bedrooms?
2 bedrooms. It was a very big kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Nice sort of farmhouse kitchen. I
Yes,
suppose.
it was really.
Yeah.
And just a lounge to the front, kitchen to the back,
and 2 bedrooms.
And that was it.
And did your parents grow their own vegetables, and what was the garden like?
Oh, always. Because Dad was a gardener stroke chauffeur for Mr. Sykes.
Yes, at
So,
Old Manor Farm.
yeah, yes. So, yeah, we always grew our own vegetables and supplied a lot of our own meat from different sources, rabbits. Yeah, just don't give them names. Not a good idea.
No.
Because next week you'll be eating them.
Yes.
So
Yes.
nothing was really given names apart from...
Don't get too fond of it.
No. Oh no, don't get fond of it at all.
Wonderful. So what do you remember of Mr. Sykes and Old Manor Farm? Did you go there a lot?
Oh yes, I remember him very well.
What was he like?
He was lovely.
Was he?
He was a really nice man. He used to, when he used to go up, when the harvests were on,
Yeah.
he would always go up there in the car, and he'd sit in the car and watch what was going on.
Did you help with the harvest? Did the children help?
Oh yeah, we all, well, hindered probably, more than helped, but we were there. Put it that way.
Yes.
No, it was really good.
And do you remember anything of Old Manor Farm?
What I remember particularly about Old Manor Farm was the apricot tree in the garden. I remember that very well.
Yeah.
And also we were allowed to go into the house up onto the top floor, into the nursery, as was their children's nursery, and ride the rocking horse that was in there.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, that used to be a treat.
Now this is interesting because we have interviewed people by the name of May who lived in Old Manor Farm from 1942 until 1954. So maybe they were pre-Mr. Sykes. May. Andrew, David and Rachel May. Not anything to do with Margie and those Mays.
No.
Different.
Are we getting muddled up between Old Manor and New Manor?
No, it was Old Manor Farm. Oh, yes,
But-
Old Manor Farm. Definitely.
Right, so that was here. That was New Manor. Mr. Sykes's.
He was New Manor.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Sykes's was New Manor.
Oh, was he?
Old Manor was Bourne's.
The Bournes.
Yeah,
And that would have followed
The maze.
the Mays.
right.
Right, so
okay,
Mr.
I
Sykes.
couldn't remember who had it before Bourne's.
No, because you would have been too
With-
small.
Yeah.
Right, so Mr. Sykes was New Manor Farm.
Yes.
Okay. And your father did what? He was the chauffeur?
Well, chauffeur stroke gardener. He used to drive wherever Mr. Sykes wanted driving. And when he wasn't doing that, he was gardening.
Yes. So, I mean, it must have been quite a close relationship with Mr. Sykes, with your father.
Oh,
You
yes,
worked closely
yes.
with him.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
So
he
that's
was.
lovely.
Yes, he was. Mr. Sykes was. He was. Yes, he was a director of Ford's Motor Company.
Oh, was
That
he?
was what. Yes, yeah.
Oh, right. But he was a farmer.
He was a gentleman farmer.
I see.
Yes, definitely a gentleman farmer.
I see. Yes.
Not one to get his hands dirty.
Oh, wasn't he?
Well, no, but no, he left that to other people. And
Yes, I see.
no, he used to go into Ford's every day in Guildford, up on the bypass.
Oh, right.
Many's the time I've had a trip up there when we've dropped him off up at.
With him, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
With your dad, of course, yes.
Yeah.
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 Ah, now that's really interesting. You are allowed to speak. You don't have to whisper.
Oh, yes. Yes. Coombs Garage.
Yeah.
Holmes Garage.
Yes.
You know that. That's rung a bell with Ian. So, Di, you can remember Captain Goodhart Rendell. Tell me about him.
Well, I met him for the first time, I think. Oh, I'd say I met him, I'd seen him before. But he used to bring his dogs down the back lane every Sunday afternoon. And it got so that I would wait for him.
Oh, I see.
And I would meet him and walk with him down the back lane. And when we got down to Grandad at Huggins Cottage, I would say, I'm just going with Sir. I'm going to go across the common and I'll be straight back. And he used to say, well, just mind you are straight back. And I would come back halfway across the common and he would always wait for me to, this is Captain Goodhart Rendell, would always wait for me to get halfway back, and then he would give me something between a wave and a salute, and then I could run up the bank, and I would be in now what is the old bungalow at the bottom of Back Lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd be about how old at this time?
Oh, I suppose I would have been 4.
Yeah, little.
Yeah. As I got older, I could meet him further up the road, and
Yeah.
we would walk down. But he used to quite enjoy our chats, I
Yes,
think,
obviously he must have done.
because I think what it was with him, he always seemed very sad sort of man, and I think it was probably the way he was treated in the village. And I'm not saying he was treated badly, don't get me wrong, but I think people, or the generation before ours, were almost in awe of him. And I'm sure he didn't like that. You know,
you said you thought he was lonely.
Oh yeah. He always appeared to be lonely. But he was such a nice man, really, really nice man.
And nice to you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what did he look like? What did you remember of him?
I would say the person, if I see a picture of Harold Macmillan,
Ah, yes.
I say that's him. Very, very much like Harold Macmillan. Very upright.
Yeah.
Because I know the first time I met him, he shouted, made me really jump. I can still remember it. Dogs! And the 3 brown Labradors, the chocolate Labradors,
Oh, is that what he had?
came running up.
Yeah.
So I said to him, do your dogs have names, sir? So he said, yes. I said, well, what are they then? So he said, well, that's dog, that's dog, and that's dog. Oh. So I said, well, that's very clever. So he said, well, why is it clever? I said, one commands and they all come. So he said, you're right there. One command and that's it. They all come. And from then on, he told me all about he was telling me all about the bomb that fell. It was a doodlebug, I think, that fell down in Back Lane.
Yeah.
And he said, I was so lucky there. So he said, with the cottages, because he said, would you believe that broke windows in West Clarendon?
Oh, gosh.
And I said, West Clarendon? He said, yes. He said, that was the way the blast went. And it went straight across the fields to West Clarendon and broke windows. And yet something which wasn't, well, any distance.
Jim's cottage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Old Harry's, or the Paragon. They were,
Yeah.
you could have thrown a stone from there to any of them.
Yeah.
And they weren't touched.
That is
But
remarkable.
he
isn't
just
it?
said he was so lucky, and he used to talk to me about the war, and he'd talk about Grandad, and he'd talk about what was going on in the village, and
Lord Rendell, his grandfather.
no, my
Oh,
granddad.
your grandfather, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember asking him once about his name.
Yes.
So he said, I said, why do they call you Goodhart? I said, is that because you're really kind and nice? So he said, no. He said, no. He said, you think I'm kind and nice? I said, yes, sir. I said, you give us a lovely party at Christmas. You must be kind and nice. So he said, well, no. He said, that isn't the reason. He said, that was my father's name. And he said, and when I inherited Hatchlands, that was when I took the name Rendell. He said, I was Harry Stewart Goodhart, who then became Harry Stewart Goodhart Rendell. But lots of, he used to talk to me about anything.
How lovely.
Anything and everything, and what was going on in the village, and
How lovely.
any snippets of information I might have that might have been useful,
It's been useful
to
to
him.
him, yes. Of course, he'd been a captain in the Grenadier Guards.
Yes,
hadn't he?
yes.
So hence the stance. He would have been extremely upright.
Well, I think that is why my granddad always called him Captain.
Yes, that's
When
right.
he saw him, he always,
right.
to speak to him, he always called him Captain.
Yes, I had a great uncle who was likewise captain.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, you in your email you describe what he looked like very well. So tell us.
He was
Smart, wasn't he? Wearing suits?
Oh, very smart. Always very smart. He would either have a suit on and his trilby hat, or he would have +4s and a tweed jacket and his trilby hat. But he was always very smart, very upright. But he never looked well.
Oh, didn't he?
No.
Because he was asthmatic, I think, wasn't he?
Do you know, I'm not sure.
There was, and he used to go to the south of France, I think.
He used to go there a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, because he used to say, I won't see you for a few weeks because I'm away. Or he used to go to London, I know. And I'm
So
not
really,
sure.
you were a friend to him, weren't you? If he said,
I
he
think-
was used to seeing you regularly.
Oh yeah, he was on the Sunday. It sort of got to be quite a regular thing, and because I said to him one day, my granddad said to him, he said, I hope she's not annoying you, Captain. So he said, no, of course she's not annoying me. He said, I'd miss her if she wasn't here.
Oh,
He said, we always look for each other.
that's
And,
so lovely.
Yeah, he was a lovely man. He was really, really nice. But it's still sort of quite sad because people could have been friendly to him. I think they were all in awe of him and all
course,
he's
yes.
whatever, and we must, sort of like touch our caps. I don't think he wanted any of that. That didn't strike me, like him at all. He was.
I'm thinking about, shall we talk about the Christmas parties at Hatchlands? But I'm just wondering, before we do that, were you aware that he had friends? Did a lot of people come and stay at Hatchlands? You probably weren't aware of that.
Well, no, I wouldn't have been aware of it, but I wouldn't have imagined so somehow.
Tell me about the Christmas parties. Can you remember that?
Oh, yes. They used to be, you used to look forward to the Christmas party all year. That used to be really good. You used to, when you got down to Hatchlands, it was normally, the weather wasn't good because it would have been between Christmas and New Year, after Christmas, but before New Year.
Right.
And we always used to take our coats off, and they went in the old servants' quarters. And then we went to sit and have our food in what I presume would have been, well, it would have been a servants' dining room, probably.
Servants' hall.
Or, yes, but it was only a fairly smallish room, not massive, just where they would have eaten their food.
Yeah.
At the long tables. We would have sausage rolls and jugs on the table full of different squashes, sandwiches, cakes.
Good spread.
Oh, yeah.
How
Yes,
many
it was.
children roughly do you reckon used to go?
There must have been 30 plus.
Really?
Yes.
Well, there was all of Langford Cross.
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
then.
yes.
That is now Cherry Trees. That
Yes,
was the
yes.
children's
And
home.
they
And they
go as
all
well.
went.
Oh, yes, yeah. I should say 30 to 40.
Gosh.
Yes. It
And
was,
would you go on your own, or would your parents go with you?
No, we mostly met up and sort of walked through together.
Yeah.
Some of the mothers used to go down and just help out and
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
But no, after we'd had our meal, then we would all go into the music room,
Yes.
and that was where we had normally a conjurer, stroke ventriloquist,
Yes.
but they were always very good. So we all enjoyed that.
Yes.
And then, of course, we used to have to go and sit round the Christmas tree in the big hall where the Christmas tree went, you know, sort of way up.
Yes.
All lit by candles. So it was a case of someone nervously sitting there with
I was going to say, you could have burnt the place down.
something ready to put the candles out, a big little candle snuffer.
Did they? Yeah.
Yes. But no, it used to be really, really lovely. And then Mr. Brewster, who was a butler, would call out your name, and you would then go up, and Captain Goodhart Rendell would then give you your gift.
A present, yeah.
Yes. And I always had a little word with him. And
Because you were special.
the other
He
the other
knew you.
children, oh yes,
Yeah.
the other children, what are you talking to him about?
Yeah.
I said, well,
That's
nothing, just passing the time of day. Or I would say
Oh, wonderful.
thank you very much for a lovely party.
Yeah.
And
Sweet.
he was,
Really nice. Can you remember any of the other staff in the house? You've got the butler, Mr. Brewster, did you say?
Mr. Brewster,
That's
yes.
the butler. Can you remember
Yes.
any of the others?
Tim Sir.
Well, they weren't in the
staff,
house,
no.
no. There was Tim and Frank who did the work around the village on the houses. They obviously worked for the estate, but not at Hatchlands. The chauffeur, Mr. Stevenson,
Yeah.
and that's all I remember.
Right. He must have had a housekeeper, I should think, wouldn't he? He'd have had a housekeeper. But yes, they're the
wasn't-
ones you remember.
I would have assumed he should have had a housekeeper, but there was no one that I can think of.
Nobody prominent.
Well, no, and certainly not anyone who got involved with the party or
Right.
anything like that.
Right.
But one would have thought he would have had a housekeeper.
Yeah, we must have done. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Now, you also say that you remember the school
Oh,
and,
yes.
and a teacher that the others don't seem to remember. So
I
tell me.
couldn't believe it that no one had mentioned Miss Skerritt.
Skerritt.
She was a teacher when I first went there, and she was the junior teacher, and the infant teacher was Miss Corner.
Oh, right.
And then after a while, we had obviously a swap round of teachers,
Yeah.
and that was when Miss Mould came.
Miss Mould, yes, that's right.
It wasn't a fair swap.
Oh, dear.
Not a fair swap at all.
Shame.
Yes.
But you like Miss Skerritt?
Oh, Miss Skerritt was lovely.
Yeah. So where did she go? She went off to another school?
I don't know. I don't know. I know she came from Horsley. I would presume she went to another school.
Yeah, yeah. But Miss Mould was a bit fierce, was she?
Afraid so.
She was a bit fierce, yes, but she wasn't a very good teacher. Let's put it that way.
Oh, that's a shame.
When, I used to take work home and say to my mum, what's wrong with that? And she would look at it and say nothing. Well, why have I got a cross? Well, I think we'd better go and have another word with her.
Oh, dear. You were obviously a bright spark, weren't you?
Well, I was brighter than Miss Mould.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have taken a lot of. That wouldn't have taken a lot of doing. But I was obviously brighter than her because I knew she'd marked it wrong.
Oh, good Lord.
But no, she was a horror.
Oh, what a shame.
She was a horror. She was. Oh, I don't know. And I feel bad because I've never heard anyone say anything nice about her. But I don't think she had any redeeming features, to be
shame.
quite honest.
Oh, what a shame. But you also remember the priests in the church. You remember Father Poole?
Oh, Father Paul, yes.
Tell
yes.
me.
Oh, he was lovely. I've actually, in my garden at home, got a pigeon, a wood pigeon that comes every day that I call Father Paul. And my husband said to me one day, why do you call that bird Father Paul? I said, well, if you'd known our old vicar, you would know. He was quite short,
Yeah,
plump.
yeah,
He wore a grey cape,
yeah.
as often as not.
Not black, grey.
No, a grey cape.
Yeah.
And he just reminded me of a wood pigeon.
Oh, lovely.
But he
and
was
he
lovely.
introduced incense, you said, into the church.
Yes, he did. Yes, yeah.
So was the church full in his day? Did a lot of people go to church?
Oh, yes.
They did.
Yes. Yeah, they really did.
Now, did he... Do you remember Father Brown?
No.
I wonder if he was before.
Before. He was before.
Because the Mays from Old Manor Farm were funny, and they said that in Father Brown's time there was so much incense in the church it made them cough.
Oh, right. So I didn't know then. So there must have been someone in between that, or if that was the time that I really first started going to church, I
there was
knew that
certainly
incense was
incense in
there.
Father Paul's
Yes,
time.
yes.
Because we did find some congealed incense in the church when it was being decorated 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, right. Oh, that'd been there some years.
Yes. So, I mean, is there anything you remember about the church services, the Father Poole, the organist, anything you remember about the services?
Oh, right. The organist, I'm trying to think who it was, and I'm having trouble. I know it was Mr. Day used to pump the organ, but I can't think who played the organ.
Never mind. Doesn't matter. But there was an organist.
Yes,
Was there a
yes.
choir?
Well, there was a choir. Some were very good. Mrs. Grover used to be looking after the choir, and
Did she?
yes, and
That was from the Forge, wasn't it?
yes.
Yes.
And if we had a wedding or anything like that, she'd say to me, "You can come and make up the numbers," and I knew what that meant. I was well practised at miming long before they did it on Top of the Pops. And it was, yes, you'll get your shilling, but just don't dare open your mouth. Because, believe it or not, I'm a great fan of the tenors, and if anyone was a fraction off on a note, I could tell you. But I am absolutely, as far as I'm concerned, as tone deaf as they come.
Right, so
So-
there was a choir. So
Yes.
that was great.
Yes, yes.
Did you have bell ringers?
We did,
You did.
yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that used to be quite good, seeing how high you could go up on the bell before you let go.
Oh goodness, I must tell them.
Oh, no, you better not put the idea there.
Oh my goodness. So it was. People went to church quite regularly in those days.
They did, yes, in those days they did. Yes.
Now, what I wanted to ask you about New Manor Farm is you can remember the horses.
Oh.
Tell me about the horses.
Happy and Duke. Yeah, Happy was a chestnut and Duke was a grey, and they were lovely. Oh.
So, what can you remember of farming methods at that time?
Well, they were already using they were already using tractors.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, yeah.
So what are we talking now? The early 50s? Do you reckon?
Yes, very early 50s. They were already using the tractors, but they kept the horses. They would bring the straw back in or whatever. They worked with the tractors.
So they didn't actually do the ploughing?
The horses did the ploughing,
Oh, they
yes.
did? They
oh,
did?
yeah, yeah. For quite a few years.
Did they?
Yeah, before the tractors started doing the ploughing. Yeah.
And so they lived in the stables at New Manor Farm?
They did.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Did you go and talk to them?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was terrible with horses. Loved them.
Because you like them, yeah.
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 Anything else you remember about the farming methods of those days? You were saying that you didn't really help with the harvest. The children didn't help with the harvest.
No, not really. No, we were there, but potato picking, that was one of the things we did, and we actually didn't do that for New Manor Farm. That was for Old Manor Farm.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. And we used to, it must have been until, I think, strangely enough, we were talking about it this morning, and we'd worked it out. It must have been,
from about 55
Yeah.
to the 1960s.
yes. Yeah, about 5 years we were actually doing it.
Potato picking?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that was very good.
So what? Good pay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So which fields?
It was the field.
The field the first field to the right as you go up Staple Lane.
Oh, right, yes. Yeah. And that was always potatoes?
It was always potatoes.
Yeah.
It was only ever in there, wasn't it? I
It
don't
was
remember it.
no. That was the only field that we went picking in, and that was only until like we said, about the 60s, I think, when it went over to whatever they planted in there after the potatoes, whether it was wheat or barley or corn or.
And what about going across the road to do the picking? Was it easy to get across the road in those days?
Yes, no problem.
Not much traffic.
No, not like now.
No.
Just one road.
Yeah.
And that was it, and that was quite a narrow road, really. When you
The old Epsom Road.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was no trouble to cross the road at all. No, we used.
Do you remember the new road being built? The 246?
Janet will do.
I do, yes, I remember the new road being built. I can't tell you exactly when it was. I really can't.
But it must have made a huge difference
Oh God,
to
yes.
the village when it was built.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, now you were telling me because Snellgate must have been changed hugely by the new road, and you were saying in your email that your father thought those cottages were built in the 20s.
My grandfather.
Your grandfather.
Yes.
You remember them being built.
Yes, yes. And they were built, I think, before. I think everyone else has said they were built sort of later than that. But I remember my granddad saying that they had been built in the 1920s.
1920s.
So it would have been late 1920s, I would think.
Yeah. I'm just wondering do you remember when the Paragon was built? Was that the same sort of time? Because they were designed by Captain Goodhart Rennie,
They were,
weren't
yes,
They were.
yes. The Paragon, no, I'm not sure if the Paragon had to have been there during the war, so it wasn't built.
It was pre-war.
Yes, yes. Yes, I don't know. I think the Paragon had probably been there for a while before the war.
Yeah. Now, you You've got lovely little anecdotes you remember. You remember the pub?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Did your parents go to the pub a lot, and did you go with them?
Well, my mother never did, but I think my dad spent quite a bit of time in there. And we used...
Who ran it when you remember?
Bill Hill. Bill and Gug Hill.
Gug.
Yes.
That's a good name, isn't it?
Yes. And I've never found out
What her real
what
name
her
was?
real name was.
No.
No idea at all. She was just always known as Gug. And that was it.
So was it a popular pub?
Well, strangely enough, yes.
The villagers used to go there, like they do
Well,
now.
I think the thing is they used to go and write their name in the dust somewhere and then go back the next week to see if it had gone. Well, of course it wouldn't have done. But no, they were a lovely old couple.
Yeah.
Bill used to say, if you want a fire, you've got to bring in your own wood.
Oh yes, and tell us about the telegraph pole.
Well, it was about some bright spark came along with a lorry, and on the back of it was a telegraph pole, about 3/4 of one, because they wouldn't have got a longer one in the bar.
No.
So they manoeuvred it into the bar, everyone who was there, and put the end on the fire, and the other bit was up the wall on the other side. And then as it burned down, so they would kick it into the... Oh, so every night it got kicked in a little bit further. Yeah, it was. They kept well warm off of that telegraph pole.
You had to climb over it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, to get to the bar.
You couldn't see in the mirror, could you? Because when the telegraph pole was burning, the mirror was getting dustier and dustier till it looked like I don't know what. There was just a square of dust, wasn't there?
Brilliant.
Yeah. And it did actually. It smelt a bit because it was coated in some sort of tar or something, and well, it was.
Oh, sounds great. Now, do you also remember the shop? And the lady that ran the shop?
Oh, Miss Burling, yes.
Burling.
Yes, bless her.
Yeah, go on.
We were talking about this Burling, weren't we?
Yes, she had. Well, we were saying about the paraffin. I think everybody has said about the smell of
You
the
picked that up, yes.
the paraffin.
Yeah.
But Janet mentioned something else today that I'd quite forgotten about, and I
It
thought,
was absolutely
oh yes,
horrendous. It was the most horrendous shop.
you'd only
The
see it on a
front- the
comedy film.
The front window always had her Manx cat sitting in the window,
Yeah.
and then you looked up to the left, up some steps, and that was where you bought your cheese, or you had the bacon cut,
Yeah.
or the paraffin.
Yeah.
And also, it was obviously when she used to stamp the old postal orders and pension books with the stamp and the block of ink.
Yeah.
So your cheese might have a few black finger marks, or your bacon might, or you might think, well, I don't really want a bit of cheese now. Her cat's sitting on it, or maybe the odd mouse. It was
Sounds interesting.
it was just sort of. I remember going to Guildford on a Saturday with my mother, because that's where you went to the Bernard's in Guildford and bought your bacon and your cheese, because you didn't quite fancy it coming from Miss Burling's.
No, you just bought everything that was packaged.
Right.
That nothing had got to, like the cats or the mice. Hadn't got there first. But no, she always wore black, and she had a black cardigan on,
Yes.
and she would always be rubbing her back. Now she couldn't rub her back, and she couldn't get her hand round far enough. She'd be scratching it on the post, on the doorpost. And she always had a lovely big hole in the back of her cardigan where she'd been scratching her back. But other than that, as far as I know, she never killed anybody. She never even made anybody ill, as far as I recall. So I think probably we've all grown up fitter.
Wonderful. Now, you remember that there was a village policeman?
Oh, Jock.
Jock.
Yeah, Jock was our village policeman. Well, he came after Bill Forehead, would have been the first one that I remember.
Did he live in the village?
No, Bill lived in Horsley.
Oh, right.
And he used to ride his bike, and you always knew it was him because he was a big fellow, and you'd see how far this bike's headlight was off the road, and you'd know it was Bill a mile away.
Oh, gosh.
So, which I told him afterwards, years afterwards, when I went and worked with him after he'd retired.
Yeah.
Said, we always knew it was you, Bill. How did you know that? I said, because of the height of your bicycle lamp. But Jock, he came after Bill. Bill got made up to sergeant. And then Jock came and he lived at West Clarendon.
Right.
Because obviously there was no need for a policeman in sort of...
So did they spend much time in the village?
Yeah, a reasonable amount. He would spend half of his time in West Clarendon and half of his time here. And he would he had the kids all sorted out.
But Mrs. Illing used to help with that, didn't she?
Oh, Mrs. Illing, yeah.
At Lamp Cottage?
Yes.
Tell me about her.
Oh, well, if you say Miss Mould is fierce,
Yeah.
not quite sure how you would have described Mrs. Illing. Fiercer.
Yes.
Oh, dear. Yeah, she was, especially if there was something like a funeral on or whatever, she would be out on guard, and if anyone dared to move a muscle when the funeral went past or whatever, it would be a smack round the ear.
Oh, really?
And if the boys didn't take their caps off, equally.
Yeah.
And she used to do the same if Captain Goodhart Rendell was anywhere in the vicinity.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. She was the start of it all, I think. Like, remove your cap. And
Oh, right. Yes.
and that was, like I say, one of the things I'm sure he didn't want. He would rather have seen children be children.
Yes.
But there you go.
Because I'm sure you listened to Frank Wallace's
Yes.
conversations, and he was saying, with the gangs of naughty boys who used to get belted by the farmers, literally
Yeah.
belted.
Oh, yes, but I'm sure in Frank's day they were a lot naughtier than ours. Yes, Frank's mum was my godmother.
Oh, was she?
Yes, yes.
Because he lived at Daphne Cottage at one stage.
He did, yes,
Didn't he?
when we lived at Holmhurst.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then they moved to West Clarendon, I think when the Glebe was built.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he was...
But he talks about, quite a lot of naughty boys in the village, I mean, he was a character himself.
oh,
wasn't he?
yeah, Frank always was.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
So, Mrs. Illing liked to keep control, did she?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. She certainly did, and you could rely on the fact that she would know your business a week before you knew it yourself. There was no doubt about that. But she wasn't a bad old stick.
She wasn't. Now, should we talk about village events? Because you remember all sorts of things with the WI and the Fete and the flower show. And...
Oh, yes. Yeah, we had... we used to have the flower show, which was quite often down... trying to think of the name of the farm.
Fuller's?
And yes, I always
Fuller's
want to
farm?
call it White's Farm.
Yes, Mr. White. Mr. White, yes.
Yeah, but no, we used to have the Fete down there, the flower show. sometimes we've had the fete in the field opposite the village hall, in front of, well, I don't know if it is a field now. It's where you used to look down the drive and you could see Major Bourne's house. Yes. And to the left of the drive used to be a field. And I'm not quite sure if it still is a field between there and the pub. It is. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I've been to the fetes when they've been on there. I think it just depended where it was going to be, and occasionally in the village hall.
Oh, right.
There was now what was it? What was the other thing you asked me? It was the
Flower show?
Oh yeah, the flower shows. They were the same. It was mostly in the village hall.
Yeah.
I think the flower shows, weren't they? Yeah.
And you had one every year?
Oh yes, yes.
And would it be flower and produce?
Yes.
Because people would have grown their own.
Oh yeah,
vegetables,
yes,
wouldn't
yes.
Yeah.
It was quite a good flower show actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
We used to enjoy that.
Yes.
And then the Women's Institute.
Oh yes, tell me about that.
Oh yeah, they used to put on their once a year pantomime or a play or whatever we're going to call it, and we had some good laughs at that.
Were you in any of those?
No.
You should have been.
No. Everybody used to look forward to that.
Yeah.
There was actually quite a lot went on here because I heard David was saying about the Morris dancers.
Yes, I was just
we
looking
used
at
to
that.
get.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, they used to be good. Used to enjoy those.
So would they come for the fete?
No, that just used to be one night a year.
Oh right.
They would come outside the pub.
Oh right.
Yeah, and
So were they from the village?
No.
They were
I've
visiting.
got a feeling that Dorking comes into my mind, and whether they actually came from Dorking or one of the little villages around Dorking, I don't know.
Right.
But
So they came with their bells and their sticks.
oh yes, and the horse, and the bladder. Where you
Yes,
get
yes.
good smack with the bladder. But no, we used to enjoy that.
So so that would happen outside the pub.
Yes.
Now, you talk about the hunt? Was the meet at the pub?
Yes, that's where it started off. But I'm not a typical country person in one respect, and I've never liked fox hunting. And if I could do anything to help the fox, believe you me, I would. And I've sent them the wrong way a few times.
Yes. But did they meet regularly?
I think it was
Day
always
generally.
Boxing
Boxing
Day.
Day hunt, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And would Captain Goodhart Rendell ride to hounds?
To be quite honest, no, I don't think he ever did.
Right.
I don't think he ever did.
So, no, I don't expect you would know who would have organised that.
I've got
Because it
no
just
idea.
happened. didn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was just one of those things they used.
Yeah.
This pub
And Boxing Day hunt.
yes, yeah.
I expect them. Well, I suppose they would have hunted regularly, but.
Oh yes, yeah. I dare say they did. It was probably more than once a year, actually.
Yeah, would have been.
But
Yeah.
no, I never did like fox hunting. I always say foxes have got to be kept down, but let a man with one gun do it.
This is absolutely wonderful. Margie is now about to arrive, so we'll stop there, and we can probably continue this over tea.
Oh right.